Hello, this is the beginning of my blog. Today I'm going to be talking to you about my asset pack and how we created it and the brief that we followed. So this is our brief that we followed. It's made up of 5 tasks that we've got to do. This is task 1. In this task it says, as a games designer, it's your responsibility to devise what game you have contrasted and how it plays. In this task, we had to research video games of our choice and create one A3 landscape poster to show 8 influences of that game. And the things that you had to look at were films, historical periods, music genres, agriculture, nature and animals, costumes, machinery, vehicles, and weaponry. So when I did this, I did it in Photoshop. And the game I decided to do was Witcher 3. As you can see, the main points that I researched was landscape, combat, creatures, wildlife, Greek mythology, clothing, exploration, and medieval times. And I explained in detail why I thought these were the inspiration for Witcher 3. Then we move on to task 2 in our brief, which is, as a concept artist, it is your responsibility to create a visual element of a game, such as characters, scenery, objects, etc. You have been asked by your team to create a hybrid style architecture that is influenced by more than one classical style. In order to complete this task, you should research a variety of architecture styles such as classic, goth, Egyptian, etc. So in this task, we had to study multiple different architectures. I decided to look at Roman, sci-fi, and so where is it? Roman architecture and Mayan. Oh sorry, industrial sci-fi, non-Mayan, and this by here is what I looked at. This is the general shape I did for my overall door that I took from this photo, but I added what my partner's genre was, which was Mayan, into my asset pack, and I made it look different with the contrast of both of the elements. So then we had to research using both primary and secondary sources. The way we did this, or I did this, is I used the internet to look at industrial sci-fi, for that is not an actual historical, that is not yet happened, because industrial sci-fi is futuristic. But then with the Mayan side, that was my partner's, Josh's side of the asset pack, I used books and first person primary research, like going to museums in Cardiff and Oxford to look at the different weaponry, armor, all the different bricks and materials they used to build and I also use the internet as a secondary source, as well as books from the library. And we get to make a mood board for each of these. So I have the sci-fi mood board, my Roman mood board, my Witcher 3 mood board, and where's the other one? And that was it. I only did 3. See down by here, talk about working in pairs to contrast the style and have critical decisions merged to make a hybrid design. Well, we decided to combine industrial, sci-fi and Mayan as our theme. That's why we researched industrial sci-fi and he researched Mayan, and we both looked at this. Then it says each group member is to produce one A3 design at least with 3 thumbnail sketches for each of the following elements. Please provide annotations. And that is where I designed this. So this, and this is a thumbnail design. I also made one in my sketchbook for my pillar. I'll show you now. But this one is the next part of the task, which was make a 2-point perspective drawing of one of my assets. The drawings had to be 2 modular elements, i.e. walls, pillars, windows, doorways, girders, barrels, flags, and 1 prop like table, statue, sculpture, weapon, flag, mast, and so on. And as you can see, I did the doors and the pillar as my 2 modular, and I did my telecom as one of my props. And then it says produce a 2 or 3 point perspective drawing, which I have already shown you earlier on in my Photoshop file. And then I have to scan and finalize my concepts in digital paint onto a canvas and movable texture. So in this, I have done this by here. I did this for this one and my torch, but this is my doorway that I've decided to create, which I painted in here using a Wacom tablet. I used all the colors and many tools like the sample tool, the different brushes, the erase tool, the multi-click pen tool, the crop tool. I use the select tool and the paint bucket tool. Then moving on to task 3. As a 3D modeler, you will need to build 3-dimensional interactive components required to make up the game. You will use the 3 technique skills produced during workshops and apply them to at least 3 different modeling techniques to assist the build of your concept developed in task 3. Each group member is to model their final concepts within task 1. Use and explain the 3 modeling techniques that you have used within Maya to assist your building your concepts. You must then create an A3 design sheet and include screenshots of the relevant using techniques within the design. So the tools that I used were box modeling, extrude modeling, polytool modeling, beveling, insert edge loops. Box modeling is using the original cube in Maya to build an original shape by just moving the vertices and the edges. Extruding modeling is by selecting the faces and pulling them out to make a completely different shape and adding larger scale to the different shapes and pulling bits out everywhere. The polygon tool is you select an image and you click where you want to build a shape and it builds the shape for you. Where I use beveling is you click around the edges that you want smoothed off so it's kind of curved, not so rigid. And I added insert edge loops so I could add more detail by moving the shape around with the vertices and the faces and the edges. Then I had to save and upload at least 5 increment saves. I did not do this, but I got told I can just tell you about what it is. Increment saves are so that you can go back if you made any mistakes on your history and correct them so that there's no errors in the future. Then using Arnold rendering, we have to produce a series of model rendering from the front to the back to top and the side, showing the polygon count of the model. So I'm going to show you this now in Photoshop. So